I couldn't believe the nonsense Nikki, my 7-year wife, had just thrown my way. In mere moments, I realized how little she truly valued me. We were at a mountain resort for her older sister Kirsten's bachelorette party, which spanned 4 days. This was Kirsten's 3rd marriage, and I couldn't help but ponder how she had managed to wrangle her current fiancé. Was it her wealth, or perhaps some form of coercion? Given her profession as a lawyer, I assumed she had likely coerced him into signing an extensive prenuptial agreement, possibly employing tactics reminiscent of medieval torture. The day prior to Wednesday, we opted to utilize one of the public hot tubs available at the resort. Earlier, Kirsten had jokingly cautioned us about the possibility of encountering undressed men in the hot tubs. I had dismissed it as jest, but it turned out to be true. It appeared that clothing was optional in these baths. As we immersed ourselves in the water, I noticed 5 men across from us in the unclothedness, confirming my earlier suspicion. They nonchalantly exited the tub, dried off, and lounged on their chairs, seemingly unfazed by their exposure. However, one individual, a tall, muscular man with long hair tied back in a ponytail, reclined on the grass beside the hot tub, with one leg raised, drawing attention to his substantial endowment. I observed Nikki gazing at him with a distant look in her eyes. I suppose I should step back and give you a bit of background about us. My name's Ned Carson, and my wife is Nikki. I'm 39 years old, while she's significantly younger at just 32. Once upon a time, I served as a police officer, but my career came to an abrupt halt when I was shot several times in the line of duty, resulting in health-related dismissal. This was before I crossed paths with Nikki. She was among the physical therapists who aided in my rehabilitation to regain mobility after my injuries. Walking remains a challenge for me, but I managed to get by. Following my departure from the force, I transitioned into private investigation work. Fortunately, much of my tasks involved desk work or surveillance from my car, minimizing the need for physical exertion. I partnered with a seasoned detective until his untimely demise from a heart attack. Assuming his responsibilities, I now report to my former boss's associate. Nikki and I dated, fell in love, and tied the knot. The initial 5 years of our marriage were blissful, or so I believed. However, a couple of years back, I received a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes and high cholesterol, exacerbated by my 2-pack-a-day smoking habit. Despite medication, my carnal performance suffered, and attempts to quit smoking only left me irritable. Initially, Nikki appeared understanding, and we made efforts to navigate the challenges. Although my stamina waned, I prioritized her satisfaction. Yet, over time, Nikki underwent a transformation from a caring, affectionate partner to someone I scarcely recognized, bossy and prone to unwarranted outbursts. Nothing I did seemed to appease her anymore. To compound matters, our closeness dwindled over the past year. Despite my efforts to salvage our relationship, it seemed futile. I held on to hope that our getaway to a mountain resort might reignite the flame between us, but it became evident that our situation was beyond repair. As I observed the man openly flaunting himself to Nikki with utter disregard, a sense of familiarity washed over me, yet I couldn't quite place him. Earlier on Thursday, Nikki mentioned going shopping with her sister, so I opted for a round of golf. Returning earlier than expected, I freshened up and dressed, hoping to treat Nikki to dinner and dancing, perhaps leading to closeness later. As I dressed, Nikki entered the room in a bathrobe, her hair damp and her cheeks flushed. Sitting on the bed, she gazed at me for a moment. "I thought you were going shopping with Kirsten," I remarked. "Changed my mind," she replied. "I went to the hot tub instead." "I see," I responded. "Any sightings of undressed men today?" "Oh yes," she said with a grin. "There was this guy with a ponytail named Ramon Torres. He's working at a film studio out west. You'd like him." That's when it clicked. I recognized him instantly. Indeed, Torres works at a film studio, though his work may not grace the big screen. It tends to be rather subpar. "So, you've gotten to know this Ramon fellow," I remarked. "A bit," she admitted with a snort. "And some of his buddies." "I see," I said. "Did you have a good time?" "Best I've had in years," she confessed. "Was this your plan all along?" I inquired. Her demeanor shifted, the shrew returning. "Yes, it was," she admitted. For a moment, I didn't recognize the woman before me. She met my gaze before continuing. "You have no idea. For years, you were the only carnal partner I had. But the past 2 years have been pure torment. I crave closeness, yet you can't perform half the time." "Do you know why?" she challenged. "It's those damn medications the doctor prescribed," I retorted. "It's not my fault." "Of course it's your fault," she fired back. Years of smoking, drinking, junk food, and neglecting exercise. Now you're paying the price, and so am I. I need a real man, someone well-endowed, someone who doesn't bend to my every whim. I need someone who takes charge, not someone who sits behind a desk and avoids confrontation. I felt as though I'd been sucker punched. I couldn't wrap my head around what she was confessing. I shook my head in disbelief, questioning if this nightmare was real, but she wasn't finished. "Do you know what he did?" she asked, a smirk playing on her lips. "He ordered me to strip right there in front of everyone." "And you complied?" I inquired, already anticipating the answer. "Of course I did," she replied, shedding her robe to reveal her undressedness. "And did you have physical involvement with them too?" I asked, though I already suspected the truth. She chuckled as she revealed, "Have physical involvement? No, I had lovemaking with them, all of them, even engaged in a trio activity. And yes, I let them all have their way with me. And you know what else?" "What?" I responded quietly, trying to contain my fury. "They're on their way here now, ready to ravage me in this bed while you watch," she declared. I rose from the bed and retrieved my suitcase from the closet. "What are you doing?" she queried. "Running away like a coward?" I took a deep breath and counted to 10 before replying. I remembered what it was about Ramon that drove me insane. He had a vile tendency of ensnaring women with lovemaking and medications, then coercing them into adult films. Once done, he'd cast them aside, leaving them to fend for themselves as fallen women. The authorities tried to stop him numerous times to no avail. "If you were wise, you'd flee too," I advised. "But wisdom isn't your strong suit, is it? Have your fun if you wish, but it's over between us. Give my regards to your sister." With my suitcase packed, I made my way to the door. "You're just going to leave me?" she taunted, a smirk on her face. "Yes, I'm leaving," I declared. "I'm tired of your antics, and I refuse to be your compliant, betrayed man. Farewell." With those final words, I exited the room. Walking down the hallway, I spotted Ramon and his entourage strolling in my direction. Once they passed, I called out to him. "Ramon!" I shouted. He turned, meeting my gaze. "What's up?" he inquired. Removing my wedding ring, I tossed it to him. "She's all yours if you want her," I stated as he caught it. "I'm finished with her." He smirked, slipping the ring into his pocket. "Whatever you say, man," he replied, chuckling before sauntering off. Heading to my car, I loaded up and drove away, stopping to grab a pack of cigarettes and a six-pack of beer. At that moment, I was indifferent to my fate, opting to drown my sorrows or break something. 3 hours later, I arrived home, half expecting a call or apology from Nikki, but none came. Forget it, I thought to myself. With plenty of time left in the day, I took matters into my own hands. If Nikki believed she could indulge in her escapade and return home as if nothing happened, she was sorely mistaken. I called a locksmith and arranged for all the locks to be changed promptly, willing to pay extra for swift service. Grabbing a beer, I sat on the back porch with a notepad, jotting down tasks to tackle. Having dealt with enough cases involving infidelity, I knew the routine. Typically, the husband got the short end of the stick while the wife walked away with half. Aware that I couldn't file for divorce on grounds of infidelity due to no-fault regulations, I made note of it. After drafting my plan, I indulged in a few more beers and cigarettes before retiring to bed, hoping to awaken from this dreadful nightmare. However, that scenario didn't unfold. The following morning, I rose and checked my phone, desperately hoping for a change of heart from Nikki. But it never came. No calls, no texts. Complete silence. I sipped my coffee and phoned Nick Parsons, a prominent lawyer we both knew well. After recounting the situation, he assured me he'd draft divorce papers. We agreed to serve Nikki at her workplace on Monday for maximum impact. "You know the drill, Ned," Nick cautioned. "Don't do anything reckless." "You've got me," I assured him. "I mean it," he reiterated. "Speak to your boss about arranging someone to watch over your wife. And Ned, I don't want you involved in this mess. Stay clear as much as possible." "Understood," I acknowledged. After our conversation, I rang my boss, Paul Drake. "Hey, Ned, thought you and your wife were off in the mountains," he remarked. "What's up? Everything okay?" "Not really, Paul," I confessed. He listened as I shared my tale. "Damn," he muttered once I finished. "That's rough. Want me to send someone to keep tabs?" "Yeah, that'd help," I agreed. But it had to be someone unfamiliar to Nikki. "I've got it handled," Paul assured me. "I've dealt with situations like this. Follow Nick's advice and stay out of trouble. I'll dispatch someone pronto." "Thanks, Paul. I appreciate it," I expressed before ending the call. I proceeded to the bank to handle our accounts, splitting them and canceling Nikki's credit card. While I considered canceling her ATM card, I opted to keep it active to monitor any charges she might make, but I reduced the daily withdrawal limit. Once done, I visited another bank to open an account solely in my name. I stopped at a diner for a pastrami sandwich before heading home, realizing there was nothing more I could do but wait. Eventually, I felt it was time to take stock of myself. I needed to take action. Stepping on the bathroom scale, I noted my weight, 98 kilograms. Examining myself in the mirror, I saw remnants of my former physique, but some fat had accumulated and my once-toned muscles had softened. No wonder Nikki had lost interest in closeness, I mused. Frankly, I wouldn't be eager for closeness either in my current state. I recalled the doctor's advice about managing my diabetes by maintaining a weight below 200 pounds. Despite initially disregarding his nutrition guide, I now reconsidered. Perhaps in a way Nikki was correct. I had allowed myself to deteriorate. However, she didn't need to resort to her actions. If she truly loved me, I reasoned, she would have communicated her concerns earlier. Determined to enact change, I resolved to overhaul everything right then and there. Grabbing the phone book and a pack of cigarettes, I headed out to the back porch to search for nearby gyms. After finding a couple, I planned to check them out. Just as I was about to leave, my phone rang. Seeing an unfamiliar number, I answered anyway. "Carson," I greeted. A female voice on the other end spoke up. "Ned, where are you?" she inquired. I recognized Kirsten's voice, though we hadn't spoken much before, so I was surprised by her call. "Yes, I left last night," I confirmed. "Why do you ask?" "We were just wondering what happened," she explained. "Nikki seemed really upset and retreated to soak. I've never seen her like this." She went on to mention that there was a fight between us, and I left. "What's going on?" she inquired. "Maybe you should ask her," I suggested. "Is everything okay between you two?" she pressed. "No, that's not the case," I responded. "Did you know Ramon Torres and his team are at the resort?" "Yes, they're providing entertainment for our bachelorette party," she confirmed. "I also arranged for them to bring a film crew." "Why?" I probed. "Just curious," I evaded. "Did Nikki know?" I asked. "Yes, I told her," Kirsten replied. "To be honest, I was surprised when you showed up. It was supposed to be a girls' thing. But if you're both into that lifestyle, then it's none of my business." "So you knew she planned to do that with me?" I clarified. "Yes, we all knew," she admitted. "Why do you ask? Is there a problem?" "Nothing I can't handle," I assured, keeping my cards close. "Do you want me to tell Nikki to call you?" Kirsten offered. "No need," I declined. "Just let her enjoy herself, okay?" Kirsten advised. "She still loves you. When she's done, she'll come back to you. It's just lovemaking." "No, it's more than that," I disagreed. "It's a heartless, calculated betrayal, and you facilitated it." "Please calm down," Kirsten dismissed. "It's just a weekend. You'll pick her up on Sunday, right?" "No," I stated firmly. "She can find her own way back, but she's not welcome here." I heard Kirsten gasp, but I brushed it off. "Goodbye, Kirsten," I concluded, ending the call. Frustrated and angry, I contemplated punching a wall, but instead went to the gym, channeling my rage into the punching bag until my arms grew weak, then took a shower. "Are you all right?" a man inquired as I was dressing. I glanced up to see one of the trainers standing nearby. "Not really, but thanks for asking," I replied. "I noticed you on that punching bag," he remarked. "I was concerned you might hurt yourself. Do you want to talk about it?" "What the heck?" I pondered. Taking a seat, I took a deep breath. He joined me on the bench, patiently waiting. Eventually, I divulged the entire story. "I'm sorry to hear that," he sympathized. "Please call me Ned," I requested. "Okay, Ned," he responded. "Listen, if you're looking to get back in shape, I can assist you. But I think you need more than just weight loss. I can recommend a good counselor if you're interested." Reflecting for a moment, I realized he was correct. I was a wreck, both physically and emotionally. "What the heck?" I agreed. "Looks like I could use all the help I can get." He chuckled, handing me a business card. "Rose Carlson, counselor," it read. "Give her a call," he suggested. "She's excellent, especially in situations like yours." "Yes, I'll do that," I affirmed. "By the way, I couldn't help but notice you avoid putting weight on your right leg," he pointed out. I explained about my injury from the shooting. He listened attentively, nodding in understanding. "I can assist you with that if you're interested," he offered. "We can also guide you with your diet and exercise routine, particularly tailored for individuals with diabetes. Are you ready to commit to this?" After pondering, I responded. "Absolutely," I affirmed with a nod. I knew I needed to take action, and quickly. "All right," he agreed. "Let's get you signed up." By the way, I'm John Green. He offered his hand and I shook it. Ned, I introduced myself. Ned Carson. Carson, he repeated. I recognize that name. Wait a minute. You're the cop who saved my grandmother during a bank robbery, right? This was about 8 years ago? I was shot during that robbery. It's great to finally meet you. How's your grandmother? I inquired. She's doing well, John confirmed. Thank you for asking. Guiding me to the front desk, John enrolled me in a program designed to help me shed weight and regain strength. He introduced me to his colleagues, highlighting my heroic past, and they expressed gratitude for my service. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, John offered as we concluded, and be sure to get in touch with Rose. I will, I promised. Thanks for everything, John. Exiting the gym, I felt a sense of upliftment I hadn't experienced in a while. It was refreshing to receive appreciation from someone. Upon returning home, I scheduled an appointment with Rose for the following Tuesday, though I held on to a sliver of hope for contact from Nikki. None came. However, Paul reached out to inform me they had an operative observing Nikki and would update me accordingly. Thanks, I acknowledged, relaying my plans to meet with Rose. All right, Paul replied. It's good to see you taking positive steps, Ned. Take your time sorting things out. I'll keep you posted on our observations from the resort. Just try to stay calm, all right? I gotcha, I assured him. Wrapping up our conversation, I attempted to unwind, but relaxation proved elusive. A part of me yearned to drown my sorrows in drinks. Yet, my rational side intervened. Throughout the weekend, I anxiously awaited news but heard nothing until Sunday. Around 10:01 a.m., Paul reached out, informing me that Nikki had departed with Ramon and his team earlier that morning. Looks like she had a packed weekend, he remarked, detailing the array of evidence they had gathered. I'll pass all this on to Nick and provide you a copy if you're interested. Any idea where they went? I queried. Not a clue, Paul admitted. They left around 9 a.m.? Got it, I acknowledged. Assuming she returns, she should be back around noon. Paul agreed. That's the plan. Keep me posted if she turns up, he urged. Will do, I affirmed, concluding our exchange. I'll do that, I assured him before wrapping up our conversation. Taking a leap of faith, I dialed Nikki's number, but it went straight to voicemail. Nikki, call me back when you can, I left a message. I know you left the resort. Call me. Ending the call, I dialed Kirsten's number, and she picked up after the third ring. Hey, Ned, she greeted me. You missed quite the party. Yeah, I gathered, I replied. Looks like Nikki took off with Ramona. Yeah, they left early today, she confirmed. Any idea where they're headed? I inquired. No clue, she admitted. I figured they might be heading your way, but I can't say for sure. Do you even care if she comes back? Hey, don't take it out on me, she snapped. Nikki's an adult. She can do what she wants. If she decides not to come back, that's not on me. Now leave me alone. With those words, she concluded our conversation. I stashed my phone in my pocket and settled into the living room, waiting. It's remarkable how time seems to drag when you're watching the clock. The minutes crept by slowly. Soon it was noon, and Nikki was still nowhere to be seen. I waited anxiously, but there was no sign of her. Another hour passed with no word from Nikki, and my voicemail remained unanswered. I tried using a search app on my phone to locate her, but it was fruitless. It appeared she had powered off her phone and removed the battery, making tracking impossible. Switching to my computer, I checked my email, but there was nothing. I continued to wait, growing increasingly restless. By 6 p.m., there was still no sign of Nikki. I began to worry that she hadn't made it home, or worse, had been in an accident. Along the way, I reached out to Paul, who made inquiries, only to discover that she hadn't been admitted to any hospital and hadn't encountered law enforcement as far as he knew. On my way, an idea struck me, prompting me to return to my computer. I reasoned that if she used her card at the ATM, the transaction would show up in our account. Upon accessing the online banking portal, I noticed a charge of $200 made around 9:45 a.m. at the airport, conveniently located near the resort. This amount matched the daily limit I had set on her card on Friday. With this information, I speculated that she had chosen to fly off with Ramon and his entourage. But to where? Opening another browser window, I searched for flights departing from that airport and found options to Los Angeles, Playa, Miami, San Francisco, Dallas, and Seattle around 11. Knowing Ramon resided on the West Coast, I surmised that might be her destination. Yet, certainty awaited her next card usage. I briefed Paul on the latest developments. We'll need to wait for her next card usage, he reasoned. That may not occur until tomorrow at the earliest, I replied, and by then she could be anywhere. Have you considered reporting her missing? He inquired. The police typically require a 24-hour absence before acting, I informed him. Then waiting seems to be our only option, he concluded. Is there any clue in the video transcripts about her intended destination? I probed. It's possible. We might need to comb through it meticulously, he suggested. Are you up for the task? I must do something, I affirmed. There has to be a clue about her whereabouts. All right, come over to my place and we can delve into this further, he offered. But I must warn you, the footage isn't pleasant. I don't care, I asserted. I need to unravel this mystery and determine if she'll ever return. Then come, he urged. We concluded our conversation, and I drove to Paul's house within the bounds of the law. Upon arrival, his wife Donna greeted me at the door. Can I offer you a drink, Ned? Coffee, perhaps, or would you prefer a beer? She inquired. I need to gather my thoughts, I replied. Coffee would be perfect, thank you. All right, she acknowledged. Paul's in his office, so head straight there. Making my way to Paul's home office, I observed him poring over a thick stack of papers. He glanced up as I entered. Come in, Ned, he welcomed. Take these and see what you can uncover. Handing me the papers, I settled in to examine them. As expected, the contents were far from pleasant. Mostly it consisted of Nikki pleading for more intense and rapid physical involvement, accompanied by crude remarks from Ramon and his associates about her attributes. Much of it was repulsive and immature, in my opinion. I couldn't ignore the obligatory insults directed at me from Nikki and her paramours. It's a shame your sorry husband was too spineless to stick around, Ramon remarked. Yeah, well, he's missing out, Nikki retorted. He'll never lay a hand on me again. He handed me his ring when he left, Ramon informed her. Said you're all mine now and it's over with him. Laughter ensued. Maybe I'll urinate on him for old time's sake, she joked. More laughter. In that moment, I questioned what I ever saw in her. Good riddance to bad rubbish, I mused. We continued to sift through the transcripts, searching for any clue. Suddenly, Paul exclaimed, Hold on, he interjected. I think I've found something. What is it? I inquired. It was late Saturday night, around 11:45 p.m., he explained. Here, read this. Let me know your thoughts. Accepting the transcript, I began reading a few lines prior to the indicated point to grasp the context more fully. Man, boss, she's the best we've had in a long time, remarked one of Ramon's accomplices. We could rake in a ton of cash with this chick's assets. You really think so? Inquired Ramon. Oh, absolutely, chimed in the other henchman. What do you say? Ramon asked. Ready to make some serious dough? I'm not some damn floozy, Nikki retorted. Laughter ensued. No, sweetheart, I'm talking about movies. Online videos, clarified Ramon. With your incredible body and pretty face, all you need to do is what you're doing now, but in front of the camera. It's natural for you. I've been brainstorming a whole new series of betrayed man's movie and humiliation videos, and you'd be perfect for it. Yes. When can I start? She inquired. We could head out right after the party if you're up for it, suggested Ramon. I'll set you up with a nice place in Los Angeles, and you'll work exclusively for me. Of course, I'll take a cut, but you could make a fortune with enough videos. Can I get some more of that stuff you gave me earlier? She asked. And a bit of that euphoria pills? Whatever you desire, babe, he assured her. So I get all the lovemaking I want and get paid? She questioned. And I get to humiliate losers like Ned? That's the idea, confirmed Ramon. You can count me in, she affirmed. What about your pathetic husband? Inquired one of the accomplices. Are you going to spill the beans to him? Screw him. He's ancient history, she declared. He'll never lay eyes on me again. When do we leave? First thing tomorrow, stated Ramon. We'll depart at 9 a.m, hit the airport, and head west. Hell yeah, she exclaimed. Let's do it. I handed the transcript back to Paul. Do we have this on video? I queried. Yep, let me just grab the disc and fire it up, he replied. Inserting a disc into his computer, he played the video, skipping to the timestamp indicated in the transcript. He glanced at me before hitting play. Ready for this? He inquired. Let's just get it done, I replied. He pressed play on the video, and I observed the scene unfolding through Nikki's room window. She lay undressed on the bed, accompanied by Ramon and his associates, one of whom wielded a camera. A tray with multiple white powder shots sat nearby, evident from Nikki's behavior. I scanned for any other figures but found none, though I wouldn't be surprised if Kirsten was involved. We watched the video while following along with the transcript. After their conversation, they engaged in group lovemaking again. That's enough, I muttered in disgust. Turn it off. Paul shut down the video and glanced at me. Well, he prompted. She's clearly participating willingly, even under the influence of white powder and who knows what else, I explained. So there's no basis for a kidnapping charge, and I didn't spot Kirsten in the video, so it's unlikely she's aware. Even if she knew, she wouldn't speak up. However, we should still make an earnest attempt to locate her for notification purposes. Do you have any contacts in Los Angeles? Paul asked. You know I have connections everywhere, I reassured him. I'll make some calls and see what I can find. Once you locate her, inform me, I requested. I want to deliver the documents personally. Absolutely not, Ned, Paul objected. That's not happening. I know you're in a lot of pain, but you shouldn't involve yourself any further. I know you well. You might do something rash, and I'd have to bail you out of jail. Stay put. Let Nick and me handle this. I'll revoke your license if you even consider leaving. Understand? Understood, I conceded, raising my hands. I'll behave, I promise. You better, Paul warned. I'll make some calls and update Nick. Don't worry, I'll keep you informed. Now go home, relax, and take a few days off. In fact, consider yourself on vacation effective immediately. I can't do that, Paul, I objected. I have a business to run. Everything's under control. Consider it in order. Are you on vacation starting now? He reiterated. Okay, I acquiesced. I'm on vacation. I'll behave and head home. We shook hands and I left, thanking Donna for the coffee. I briefly considered grabbing a beer but opted to drive home instead. It turned out to be a good decision, as the house phone rang just as I stepped into the living room. Hello? I answered when I picked up the receiver. Seeing Kirsten's number on the caller ID, I activated the recording feature on my answering machine. Hi, Ned, it's Kirsten, she greeted. Yes, I recognize the number, I responded, and I should let you know I'm recording this conversation. I hope that's all right. Of course, she replied. If I were in your shoes, I'd probably do the same. So, what's on your mind, Kirsten? I inquired. I just heard from Nikki, she revealed. She asked me to represent her interests in case you decide to file for divorce. Do you know where she is? I probed. She mentioned she's in Miami now, but she plans to move around a lot and may not return soon, Kirsten disclosed. In Miami, huh? I remarked. I suspected she was either lying or being misled. I see, she confirmed. That's what she told me. She also mentioned that you're likely considering divorce, I stated. That's correct. Divorce proceedings are underway, I confirmed. Once they're prepared, send them my way, she instructed. I'll email you my address. I'll relay the message, I assured her. Were you aware of her intention to leave me and pursue a career in adult films with Ramon Torres? I questioned. No, Ned, I had no idea, she admitted. I understand you may not think highly of me, but I'm being sincere. I thought she was merely using her involvement with him to provoke a reaction from you. I didn't realize she intended to leave. It was quite a shock when she told me. I know you're fundamentally a good person, Ned, so please accept my apologies. Did you know about the medications he administered to her? I pressed. White powder and euphoria pills, she replied. I knew about euphoria pills, but not white powder, she added. We all took some euphoria pills that night, but I didn't see any white powder. You know what he does with the girls he recruits, right? I questioned. He makes adult films, she clarified. He specializes in group videos and humiliation. He decided to start a new series featuring more mature amateur women like Nikki. But I didn't know he had his eye on her. You didn't answer my question, I reminded her. Do you know what he does with them? I don't understand you, she responded. Don't play dumb, Kirsten, I insisted. He exploits them, drains them. Then he casts them out onto the streets where they're forced to do anything for their next fix. Is this what awaits your sister? How long do you think she'll last? Is this a concern for you? She asked. Oh, please, I retorted sarcastically. No matter how much I despise her now, I wouldn't wish this fate on anyone, not even you. Where's your concern for your sister? It's none of your business, but I'll take her in before I let this happen to her, she stated. Make sure she knows that, I insisted. From what I know about him, he'll probably discard her within 5 years, maybe less. I hope you have a spare room ready. You don't have to worry about the size of my place, she assured. All I need to know is what you want in the divorce. You'll find out soon enough, I informed her. Very well, she acknowledged. Do you want me to relay a message to Nikki? She offered. No, I declined. I have nothing to say to her at the moment. Well, then, I suppose we have nothing further to discuss. Ned, once again, I'm sorry this happened. Instruct your lawyer to send the documents directly to me. Any communication will be through me, she concluded. Goodbye, Ned. After ending the conversation and stopping the recording, I called Nick and briefed him on Kirsten's statements. representing her own sister's interests right after enabling her actions, he remarked. Isn't this unethical? I inquired. No, not necessarily, Nick responded. But it certainly doesn't look good. We'll send Kirsten a copy of the documents, but I want to see if we can locate your wife and inform her in person. There's too much risk that Kirsten won't deliver the documents to her sister and then claim she wasn't properly notified. Do you think she would really do that? I inquired. Oh yeah, Nick confirmed. You'd be surprised at some of the things I've seen her do. I'll speak with Paul and see if we can locate Nikki. If not, we'll resort to what's known as divorce by publication. What does that entail? I asked. Well, when a spouse absconds and can't be located, we can pay to publish the divorce notice in a newspaper, where she's likely to come across it at least once a week for 4 weeks, he explained. If she's indeed in the Los Angeles area, as we suspect, we'll publish it both locally and in the LA Times. And of course, we'll still send a copy of the documents to Kirsten, right? I clarified. Absolutely. Sending it to Kirsten doesn't guarantee Nikki's notification, Nick affirmed. We continued our conversation before eventually ending the call. I grabbed a snack, smoked a cigarette, and retired to bed. Over the ensuing weeks, we monitored Nikki's ATM activity and deduced that she was likely situated in the Long Beach, California vicinity. Paul reached out to his contact in Los Angeles and discovered that investigators had spotted her at various nightclubs, where she had been performing on stage, though pinpointing her exact whereabouts remained elusive. Pat Silva, Nikki's supervisor at the therapy clinic where she worked, rang up to inquire about her absence. Upon learning that Nikki had decided on a career change, I calmly informed her of the situation. What do you mean, career change? Pat queried. Haven't you heard? I responded. She's chosen to pursue a career in adult filmmaking. What? Pat exclaimed. Yes, she aspires to be an adult film star and a medication user, I stated. She's somewhere in Southern California pursuing her dream as we speak. I'm surprised she didn't inform you, Ned. You better not be joking, Pat cautioned. I'm afraid it's true, I confirmed. So she won't be returning, right? Pat sought reassurance. I'd be very surprised if she did, I admitted. Okay, I'll process her final payment and terminate her employment, Pat decided. Where should I send it? For now, you can mail it to me, I replied. I'll pass it on to her lawyer. All right, Ned, Pat said. I'm sorry to hear about this. She'll be missed. Thank you, Pat, I acknowledged, concluding our conversation. I received Nikki's last paycheck and forwarded it to Kirsten as pledged. Whether she relayed it to Nikki, I couldn't say, nor did I particularly care. I commenced my sessions with Dr. Rose, who proved to be an excellent therapist, attentive and understanding. Initially fearing I might face blame for Nikki's actions, I was relieved to find Dr. Rose didn't attribute fault to me. By the end of the first month, I began to feel noticeably better. Regular visits to the gym also contributed to my well-being. Shedding a few pounds, I adopted a sustainable diet with John's assistance. Before long, I started to catch glimpses of my former self in the mirror. Nick was also occupied. After crafting a notably biased divorce petition, he ran it in the local newspaper and the LA Times twice weekly for 4 weeks. As the 4th week neared its close, he graciously sent Kirsten a copy, which left her dissatisfied. She demanded an urgent meeting with me and Nick in his conference room. What does all this mean? She demanded upon our gathering. This is an affront, not a divorce request. What's the aim behind demanding a 75-25 split with no alimony? The true affront is what your client did to her husband. With your assistance, I might add, given her decision to abandon the marriage. My client and I believe this is the appropriate course of action, Nick asserted. She didn't even bother to remove her belongings from my client's home. He hasn't even been served the papers yet, Kirsten seethed. That's because your client was evading in the Los Angeles area, Nick explained. Since we lacked her address and you weren't forthcoming about her whereabouts, we resorted to filing for divorce by publication. A 4th notice has just been published in both local and LA Times. I'll contest this, you'll see, she threatened. As you wish, Nick replied, and contest she did. She filed motions that went nowhere and requested counseling, which the judge reluctantly sanctioned. I was taken aback when Nick informed me of this. Don't fret, he reassured. Judge Potter despises traitors and favors law enforcement. Kirsten thinks she's in control, but in reality, she's giving Nikki just enough rope to hang herself. What do you mean? I inquired. Nikki likely won't show up for the counseling, he predicted. Judge Potter detests disobedience to his orders. In such cases, he's likely to issue a bench warrant for her arrest. That's what I hope for, I expressed. I arrived punctually at the counselor's office designated by the court, but predictably, Nikki was a no-show. I knew the counselor, Judy McGregor, from her previous work with me after I was shot. We spent an hour catching up, during which I recounted my story. "I gather you can't fathom reconciling with your wife?" she deduced. "Not at all," I affirmed. "All right," she acknowledged. "I'll report this to the judge along with her absence. Best of luck, Ned. It was good to see you again." According to Nick's later account, Judge Potter was incensed by Nikki's disregard for his orders and issued a bench warrant for her arrest. He informed me the warrant remained valid for 5 years. We continued to monitor her ATM usage and observed that while most of her transactions occurred in the Long Beach area, she also made multiple withdrawals in San Francisco and San Diego during the same period. It appears she was quite active simultaneously. I conducted a search and found several brief videos featuring her. I could only endure watching them for a few minutes and noticed they all involved the same group, scenes of carnal activity and humiliation purportedly targeting a husband. I felt nauseated realizing that this was likely what she wanted to subject me to. Finally, a court date for our hearing was scheduled. I met Nick at the courthouse and we entered together. Scanning the room, I spotted Kirsten, but Nikki was nowhere to be found. When our turn came to approach the bench, Nick and I took our seats and observed Kirsten sitting alone at her table. Judge Potter expressed his dissatisfaction at seeing her unaccompanied. "And where is your client?" he inquired. "She's not feeling well at the moment," Kirsten responded. "Unwell?" questioned Judge Potter. "What does that mean? She's currently working," Kirsten added. "Working?" the judge repeated. "She's an adult film actress, for heaven's sake. Are there no breaks in her schedule? Is her job more important than this divorce? She simply couldn't make it, Your Honor," Kirsten argued. Judge Potter sighed heavily and glanced at the documents before him. "Very well," he conceded. "Considering this, I will issue another court order, and I am prepared to finalize the divorce decree in court today." "But, Your Honor, we still need to file motions," Kirsten interjected. "I've seen all I need to see, counsel," the judge retorted, clearly irritated. He paused, then continued after surveying both parties. "While there are guidelines governing court awards, it's important to note that in this state, the bench possesses significant discretion in determining marital property division," he explained. "Upon reflecting on this case, I acknowledge the merits of both sides. On one hand, there's a highly decorated former police officer who risked his life protecting a 70-year-old grandmother. On the other hand, there's a woman whose attorney concedes she's a medication-abusing adult film actress who deliberately betrayed and deserted her husband to pursue her depraved lifestyle. And it's my understanding, counsel, that you played a role in facilitating some of your client's actions. I must admit, this is deeply troubling." I reached out to the state bar, and they confirmed no ethical breaches occurred. "However, though you came close to crossing the line, I advise caution in the future," he stated, banging his gavel. "After reviewing all the documents in the attorney's report, I find myself compelled to grant the plaintiff's divorce petition as submitted," he continued. "Best of luck, Mr. Carson, and thank you for your service to the community," he concluded. I glanced at Nick, surprised. "Did we just win?" I queried. He grinned, extending his hand. "Absolutely, Ned. Congratulations, you're now a free man," he affirmed, shaking my hand. Kirsten gathered her belongings and approached us. "Congratulations, Ned," she offered, shaking my hand. "You've exacted your revenge. I hope you find solace in that." I reciprocated the handshake, understanding that losing such a case would be difficult for her. "No, I'm not content," I confessed. "Happiness has eluded me for quite some time." I retrieved a DVD from my briefcase and handed it to her. "You once mentioned that if I needed to convey a message to Nikki, I should inform you. Here's my final message to her. Feel free to view it. I'm indifferent. Additionally, I have a cashier's check for her share of our account. I closed it late last night. I'll make sure she receives it," I murmured. "By the way, what's on the DVD?" she inquired. "Nothing extraordinary," I replied. "Just a brief message for her." In reality, it was more than a mere message. The previous day, I dragged a 50-gallon drum to the backyard and set up the camera on a tripod. While it recorded, I filled the barrel with all her abandoned belongings, including her $2,500 wedding gown, every photograph I possessed of her, and various trinkets she had collected over the years. I even shattered the wedding portrait hanging above our bedroom and stuffed it into the drum. I poured lighter fluid over everything in the drum and ignited it. As it burned, I addressed the camera. "Nikki," I began, "there was a time when I would have taken a bullet for you. Throughout our time together, I loved you wholeheartedly, and I envisioned growing old by your side. Sadly, you had different plans, so that future won't materialize. I've seen glimpses of your work online, and I can't shake the feeling that this is what you intended for me. But that won't happen either. Don't inquire about friendship, as friends don't inflict the pain you did. And don't expect forgiveness from me, for it won't come. I only hope you wake up to reality before it's too late. Farewell, Nikki, I concluded before departing, leaving the camera to capture the final destruction of her remaining possessions in the house. Life moved forward after Nikki. I revamped the house, removing anything even remotely associated with my ex-wife. I continued sessions with Rose and maintained my thrice-weekly gym routine, adhering to our diet plan and discarding my cigarettes. A couple of months later, I stepped on the scale and found I was down to 84 pounds. There was still work to do, but I felt better than I had in ages. The only thing missing was the companionship I once shared with Nikki, and then fate intervened. While shopping for groceries at the local market, I accidentally collided with her. It was a genuine mistake. I wasn't paying attention. After profusely apologizing, I was met with the most enchanting smile. I was momentarily captivated, forgetting to breathe for a moment. Introducing myself, I noticed the absence of any rings on her fingers. Accepting my apology, she introduced herself as Brenda Wilkins. We struck up a conversation, and to my surprise, I mustered the courage to invite her to dinner. Even more surprising was her acceptance. As fate would have it, Brenda was a widowed physician. Her husband and young son had tragically perished in a car accident several years prior, on their way back from a father-son camping trip. Offering my condolences, I shared with her the story of my divorce from Nikki. Amidst our conversation, I mentioned my diabetes and the effects of my medications. Understandingly, she nodded. "I've dealt with similar cases before," she remarked. "Why don't you bring your medications to my office and let's explore what options we have?" Making an appointment, I brought along all my prescriptions. Brenda was taken aback by the sight of them. After conducting some tests, she proposed a few adjustments, and I noticed an immediate improvement. She emphasized the importance of diet, exercise, and quitting smoking, which significantly contributed to my progress. The first time we shared a bed, I felt like a changed man. It was the first time in over 2 years that I felt content. Waking up to Brenda's beautiful face the next morning, I realized I couldn't let go of this newfound happiness. Upon proposing, she showered me with kisses. Following our marriage, we sold our respective homes, combined our finances, and purchased a new residence in a freshly developed area. We both agreed that starting afresh was essential to leave the past behind. A little over a year into our marriage, Brenda gave birth to twins, a boy named Christopher and a girl named Julie. Life carried on for the Carson family, and I discovered the profound joy of fatherhood. About a decade after our marriage, there came a knock at our door. Opening it, I found Kirsten standing there, looking worn out. "Ned, good to see you again," she greeted. "Likewise, Kirsten," I responded, inviting her inside. After settling in, I introduced her to Brenda and the kids. "What brings you here?" I inquired. "This is about Nikki," she revealed. "You were right about Ramon." "About what?" I probed, curious. "It took some time, but he eventually exploited her just as you predicted," she explained. "She confessed to us that she ended up on the streets performing tricks to support her medication habit. Sadly, women like her don't last long in that environment. She managed on her own for a while, but eventually became destitute. Recently, she was discovered unconscious in an alley and taken to a rehab center. I learned of this a few months ago and arranged for her to come here. She's battling cancer, and her prognosis is grim." "You once vowed not to let her reach this point," I remarked. "What happened?" "We lost contact about 6 years ago," she admitted. "The authorities in Los Angeles reached out to me, and I flew out to see her. She's not doing well." "I'm sorry to hear that," I expressed. "What do you need from me?" Kirsten inquired further. "She wants closure," Kirsten elaborated, referring to Nikki. "She wishes to see you one last time. I understand your feelings toward her and me, but I implore you to find the compassion to grant her this final wish." It was an unexpected request. Kirsten was asking for a favor. Glancing at Brenda, I saw the concern mirrored in her expression. "What do you think?" I asked her. "Kirsten is right, dear," she affirmed. "She needs closure. And deep down, you know it too." "How severe is her cancer?" Brenda asked Kirsten. "It's dire," Kirsten responded. "The cancer has spread extensively throughout her body. The doctors mentioned that if they had detected it earlier, they might have had a chance. But now it's too advanced. They've given her a prognosis of a few months, or possibly just hours." "All right," I acknowledged. "I'll go see her." "I'll accompany you," Brenda offered. I agreed and contacted a babysitter. Fortunately, Carla, our neighbor's teenager, was available. Once Carla arrived, Brenda and I followed Kirsten to the hospice. Upon reaching the hospice, Kirsten led us to Nikki's room. I was taken aback upon entering. She was unrecognizable. Tubes protruded from her frail body, and her once beautiful face appeared sallow and discolored. It seemed as though all her former radiance had vanished. As I stood by her bedside, she opened her eyes. "Ned," she whispered, a tear trickling down her cheek. "Is it really you? You look so good." "Yes, Nikki, it's me," I confirmed. "Oh, Ned, I'm so sorry," she choked out between sobs. "I messed up so badly, ruined everything. I know you said you'd never forgive me, but please, I'm begging you. It hurts so much. Please forgive me." Glancing at Brenda, I saw tears welling in her eyes. I knew what I needed to do, though it would be incredibly difficult. Taking a seat, I clasped her hand. It felt cold. "It's all right, Nikki," I reassured her. "I forgive you." She burst into tears, gripping my shirt with her other hand. I embraced her, allowing her to weep on my shoulder. Moments later, a nurse entered, checked her chart, and administered something into her IV. "This will help her rest," she explained before leaving. Seeing Nikki drift off to sleep, I gently adjusted her head on the pillow. "Thank you for coming," Kirsten expressed. "You're welcome," I replied, nodding. "How long will you stay?" "I'll stay until the end," she murmured. "I've arranged to work remotely. There won't be a memorial service. It's what she wanted." "What happened to Ramon?" I inquired. Kirsten retrieved a folded newspaper clipping from her purse. "After he threw her out, he replaced her with another girl," she recounted. "Her husband didn't take it well and ended up eliminating him brutally." I skimmed through the article. "It says disfigured," I noted to Kirsten. "Yes," she confirmed. "Wow," I murmured. "And they're certain her husband was responsible?" I inquired. "Yes," she affirmed. "Witnesses saw him leaving the warehouse. He was acquitted by reason of temporary insanity," she explained. "I can see why," I remarked. "I felt the same urge myself." "I'm sorry, Ned," she expressed, "for everything." "Yes," I responded softly. "In any case, we both felt a sense of remorse after watching that video you gave me," she continued. "I never truly considered extramarital affairs until I saw it. Prior to that, it was merely about my own gratification. But after viewing it, my perspective changed. I never comprehended the depth of pain from betrayal or its high cost," she added, casting a glance at Nikki. "Thanks to you, I'm not the same woman I was a decade ago." "I'm pleased to hear that, Kirsten," I acknowledged. "Take care of yourself, Ned," she said, embracing me. "And look after my ex-brother-in-law," she addressed Brenda, hugging her. "You can count on it," Brenda assured her, returning the hug. We exited and made our way back to the car. "Are you all right?" Brenda inquired as we fastened our seatbelts. "Yes, I'm fine," I assured her, starting the car. "Karma, this could become quite unbearable," I contemplated as I drove home.